21st, 2015. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one showing off your pure skills. Spots go fast, so make sure to grab a seat quickly in the tavern.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Hearthstone Legendary Series Season 1 Finals. We're in the middle of the first day here of broadcast, and our next match is going to be the winners of Group A between Zalae and SilentStorm. And we have a special guest on the couch. We have Max Simpson, also known as Max from Team Method. And Max is also our last-minute replacement for the tournament. We're very glad that happened. In fact, you got notification at like 5:30 a.m. that we needed you to get on the plane at like 10 a.m.
Yep, that's right.
And you somehow still made it.
Yeah, I live like 10 minutes away from an airport, so I like packed my stuff, got in a taxi, and was at the airport like 2 hours later.
Crazy, man. I'm actually really impressed that you managed to get yourself here because the journey has been wild. How have you been enjoying your time so far here?
It's fantastic. It's like my first time in America, my first time in California. It's just, everything's really big, the food's fantastic, and I love it.
Yes, everything is big, including the people. We get it. British joke. Yeah. So far, how have you been enjoying the LAN? How's everything being here? You've been to a couple of Dream Hacks. You've been to some offline events in the past. What's it like here versus anything else? Did you get nervous at all in the first series?
I wasn't as nervous in the first series as I have been in other series, because it's now my third LAN, so
sure.
I'm sort of getting used to the pressure.
Got experience in your belt.
I'm playing on stage.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, you went up against Zalae, and I think that's a really cool, fact that you've had some insight into his decks, and now you get to see him play. Was he a player that you were afraid of when you saw the groups last night? How did that pan out?
I wouldn't really say there was like any player I felt particularly afraid of. Everyone here is really good. Like, if I was afraid of one person, it would imply that I'm not afraid of anyone else. Like,
Sure.
I sort of see them all as the same.
All threats.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, we're happy to have you on the couch here, and we're happy that the next match is between two players that are still also carving out their stories. You might have seen Max in other tournaments who's making a name for himself to qualifiers. A lot of people have seen Savitz, but these two players are two of the dark horses that, honestly, we thought, TJ, would be threats to potentially even win the tournament.
Yeah, for sure. We saw Zalae very early on. I think he made his debut just about the time when Max made his debut as well, and he actually got invited back week after week after week. And he finally ended up winning in week number 7. So it took him a while to get there, but making it all the way through the open bracket, really impressive stuff. And you can see little fun facts on it. He actually stands up while he's streaming.
Yeah.
So he gets his blood flowing.
It's supposedly like good for circulation of the brain, blood to the brain. Circulation of the brain. We don't want your brain rotating in your head. It's good supposedly to help you think. Stop laughing at me, Max. I'm not good at talking. SilentStorm, on the other hand, we haven't really seen him stream, really, right? I haven't seen him do much other than ladder a lot and play in some of these qualifiers. And one thing to note about SilentStorm is that he's a great player, he's a great deck builder, and he gives bomb-ass interviews. But the fact is he also plays second at one of the most prestigious online tournaments out there that's ever happened, which is the Prismatic Cup, #2, where he got into the finals against Colento. And it was like he absolutely tore the Swiss rounds apart. He was undefeated, and he just put on such a display of skill. I remember me and Milkcast were talking about him, being really impressed with the guy.
Yep. Well, you can see their decks there on the screen. We've seen both these players play so far. So what are your thoughts, Max, on both these guys' lineup and what they chose to bring?
So I think, neither of them brought Hunter, which I personally think is a mistake. Because I still think Hunters are really, really strong. Having said that, we've seen two people play Hunter, and both of them lost their matches.
It's true.
And one of them was me, so I probably don't know what I'm talking about here. But I think Warrior is definitely really strong. Unfortunately, he's running it into the Druid list, which I think favours the Druid player. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out.
Well, we have 6 different classes for this series. That to me already is a great sign of diversity in the metagame. But of course, partially because SilentStorm is so wacky and different. He's got his Warlock and Shaman, 2 classes we didn't anticipate coming into this. And we're about to find out who will be the first player to advance to the round of 4 between SilentStorm and Zalae as we get ready with game number 1, Druid versus Warrior.
Really unfortunate here for Zalae. Especially the faster the Druid gets, the harder time a Warrior has to be able to deal with it.
I mean, having said that, we see the Bomb Lobber in his opening hand, which is actually one of the cards that's really, really strong against Druid. Like it normally can kill something or finish something off, and putting a 3/3 body on the board at the same time, once Druid loses board control, it tends to lose the game, unless Warrior is low enough to be in range of the combo. So if Zalae can get early board control, then he's looking good.
What do you think the Bomb Labber was included into the deck in anticipation for? Because we've seen a couple of choices for Bomb Labber, of course. We saw you playing one. What do you think a Warrior is trying to do specifically with Bomb Labber? Because we saw it at the very beginning of Goblins vs. Gnomes, players like Kit Kats was experimenting with it, and then it got taken out. Why the return?
So it's very, very good against Rogue. Warrior is a deck that's quite strong against Rogue anyway. Bomb Lobber is a card that kills, it kills Shades, it kills
Azure Drakes?
Azure Drakes, exactly. Right. And if people are still playing Auctioneer, it kills Auctioneers. But what we see that's really interesting, which I wasn't expecting anyone to bring, is a Frothing Berserker in the hand of Zalae.
That was so delicate the way you said it.
It was.
The
Frothing Berserker.
It's really hard to say.
Oh, it's so adorable. It's awesome. He's going to save his Innervate for the curve where you can put Dr. Boom out on turn 5 after the Pilot Shredder. Can't argue with SilentStorm there. But yeah, the Frothing Berserker is such an interesting choice because, I mean, we haven't really seen that kind of like mid-range approach, right? Because that's what the Frothing Berserker is. They're mid-game pressure. But at the same time, is that a call against Rogue? Is it a call against, maybe he anticipates another class being prevalent? What do you think?
I'm not really sure, to be perfectly honest. I'm not sure what it's good against. It just hasn't seen a lot of play recently. I guess the idea is if you're cutting some of your late game threats, because you must be cutting things for Bomb Arbor and the Berserker. So it's something that you can play on turn 3 that your opponent has to deal with.
Right. I mean, he has to because it's just the threat of what the Frothing Berserker can do.
Zalae was actually a pretty big innovator as far as the Legendary series went. He was one of the first players, at least as a Warrior, to sort of experiment with new things. He was one of the very first players to use double BGH in one of his decks. That was really early on, and that was basically because he was reading a lot that Handlock was becoming popular, because this was prior to GVG, before Dr. Boom was a thing. And it gave him great success.
Vitality Totem. I mean, that buffs up the Frothing Berserker to a 4/4 now. I mean, keep in mind, any single target's damage, so the Death Spite synergizes with it as well, maybe allowing him to snipe some really high health targets.
It's definitely a very powerful card, if you can get it to work. The issue is it does have 4 health, but against a Druid, if they can't get board control, then they're not going to win the game.
Yeah. Usually this would be a play for an Innervate Ancient of Lore, but he just can't really afford to do that, because if he throws that down, even though he's getting the draw, it's trading with the Death Bite, and that Frothing Berserker is going to get huge just because of the Whirlwind effect from the Death Bite, plus all the minions taking damage. It's just, you can't really let that happen, let the Warrior get that much control over the board in the game.
Well, there's actually a couple of interesting plays here available to deal with Dr. Boom, but of course, the big wild card is what will these Boombots do? What will they hit and how much damage will they deal? Because you're not worried, I mean, the Death Spite Whirlwind effect will kill off the Boombots, but also weaken your minions, so it makes it a higher chance for it to die.
Yeah, his only real answer to the Boom is the Frothing Berserker right now, and if he uses the Death Bite, then he risks losing his Berserker to the Boombots.
Right.
He could attack into the Dr. Boom first with his Berserker, and then attack the Boom with his Death Bite.
Is it still going to be green?
I think it will.
It is.
And as a result, he might be taking a lot of face damage, though. Wow, that's a great outcome. Oh. There's a lot of damage being tossed out, but SilentStorm just took 13 damage.
Wow.
And he doesn't have an answer to this in hand. I mean, not without taking 13 damage to the face.
What?
Oh my goodness.
This Frothing Berserker is single-handedly going to win Zalae the game.
His only play here to even stay alive on board is to play Antique Healbot. And if he does that, he can't do anything else. Wow.
Are you sure it keeps him alive?
On board.
Oh, on board. 13, 16, 17. You have the Fiery War Axe. It's 20.
Yeah. Unless he draws into like a Cruel Taskmaster.
Yeah, you're right.
But even a Cruel Taskmaster I think would do it. But even then, he's still. Oh! Is that it though? It would be an extra 3 damage from the Cruel Taskmaster plus the 3 from the Fire War.
So he's at 23 damage.
I think he's 1 off.
1 damage off
Awesome.
lethal.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, come on, you still go for it. You have Ragnaros and Grommash to follow up. And you can't die from the combo, can you?
No, because even if you innervate combos, you're still not dead.
Yeah.
Even if you don't armor up this turn.
Well, I mean, he's getting armored just naturally by Cruel Taskmaster.
That's true. That's very true.
So I think Zalae is wondering about the... Okay. So...
Still the same amount of damage. You just catch
Oh, wait,
it in
what?
What? I think we can't count. He gets 1 extra.
Oh, yeah.
He gets 2 damage because he trades in the armor smith.
yeah, he gets 2 damage because the minions collide.
That's why he's on the stage and we're on this comfy couch.
This is why I lost my 1 damage off lethal is because I can't count.
Man.
Max is like
Oh, gosh.
furiously taking
That
notes
was-
on his card.
That was really embarrassing on our halves. I guess that goes to show you can have a physics students and 2 college dropouts and you still can't figure out lethal. Well, that was really well played. I mean, it's one of those things where Frothing Berserker, I mean, just shows that he's practiced with it. Like, it's the things where he just had to double check, make sure. It's just a familiarity thing, right? Where, he was able to calculate that, really impressive. But even more than that, it's the fact that he even included into his deck, and it became an impact card in a matchup where it's generally tough for a warrior to beat the druid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, his warrior, it doesn't look like control warrior. It looks like this new, I wouldn't, like a mid-range warrior, like it's got piloted shredders. It almost looks more like a druid deck with like mid-range creatures and weapons and things to control the board more than a traditional control warrior does.
Yeah,
Interesting observation.
I mean, we've only seen part of it too. Did he cut some of the late game cards out of his deck in order to make it happen? So, I mean, we don't know fully for sure, but one thing is definite is that SilentStorm will have to be on his toes at all point to watch out, because Zalae's included a lot of these small tweaks across all of his decks, not just his warrior.
When you sign up to be a Hearthstone caster, they give you a simple math test, and if you get it wrong, they hire you on the spot.
I'm flushed, man. We'll never live that down. I can just only imagine the amount of fail fishes that's going on right now. All right, let's go into game number 2, Warlock versus Rogue. This deck, did you get to see it at all? The Warlock deck?
Yeah, I did. It's the double Mistress of Pain, double Power Overwhelming deck, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's because that's pretty much all the cards we saw.
Yeah.
We didn't get to see much. We also saw a couple of interesting choices. It seems to be more focusing on the demon side of things as opposed to like the combo.
Yep.
You see double power overwhelming, you might be tempted to be like, this is one that goes for like the 24 damage combo. But this one actually has Mal'Ganis and Voidcaller and a few other controlling type cards. So it's interesting to see if it will match up against Rogue, because Rogue is a class that you're watching out for this tournament, aren't you?
Yeah, like Rogue is it's one of the strongest classes. Now with the oil and the blade flurry, there's a lot of burst damage in that, and burst damage is traditionally how you beat these sort of warlock decks that want to life tap a lot, go low. It probably doesn't look like he's playing Molten Giants, so that's something that we don't need to worry about too much. I mean, he could be, but it's probably not something we're worrying about. Something we see from Zalae is that he has piloted shredders in his rogue deck. That's generally like a nod to how strong Warrior is in this matchup. And it tends to be, if you're playing piloted shredder, you're probably not playing 2 saps. So that's something that will definitely have an effect in this matchup, because with the Mal'Ganis and Jiraxxus coming down from a Voidcaller, sap tends to be the go-to answer.
Yeah. Another fun fact for this matchup, I believe this is actually the oldest player in the tournament versus the youngest player in the tournament.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's pretty crazy. Both these guys make it to the winners match. I believe SilentStorm is
I think
17.
I think they're like 10 years apart.
Yeah,
it's an
and
entire decade.
Even more. And Zalae is
like
28.
SilentStorm doesn't even know what like a floppy disk drive is.
That's scary.
He doesn't know the pain of blowing into a cartridge and trying again to get your game started. At least I don't think so. He might have been like 4 or 5 during that time.
Who knows? Might have been like a video game prodigy, and was
I believe it. I believe it.
playing that Smash 64 way before his time.
So I guess he gets an early curve starts and he has a decent board. Bro can easily bounce back from something like this as soon as he picks up Blade Flurry.
So this minion positioning is quite interesting. He didn't put the 2 Voidwalkers together, which I think is probably a mistake, because he has Defender of Argus. His options for playing Defender of Argus now are only Mistress of Pain and Voidwalker, whereas if he had put the 2 Voidwalkers together, he could have chosen between buffing up the 2 Voidwalkers or buffing up a Mistress of Pain and a Voidwalker.
That's a great point.
He's denied himself an option with that minion positioning there.
It's a fair point because you could choose either way there then. It might end up being the case where he wants to buff it up anyways, but in the case where it doesn't happen, I guess you're right there. In the meantime, Zalae's caught in a little bit of an awkward spot. Does he want to just push out a 4-drop here as soon as he can? And if so, is it going to be the Pilot Shredder or the Violet Teacher where he can get out some other stuff?
So I think putting out the Piloted Shredder here is quite good. Putting out the Violet Teacher, you do get a 1-1, but that 1-1's probably just going to die. Oh, he's going to get 2 1-1s because he's going to use both backstabs.
I'm ready to learn.
Yeah, I think if he wants to use both backstabs, then the Violet Teacher is definitely the play.
Well, he goes for the board control, and that's what he wants to do to shut down this Warlock deck. Now, something to keep in mind is that Zalae has also played interesting amounts of Warlock as well, from his own combo lock to hand lock himself.
He actually attributed his victory in the week that he won to that Warlock deck. So when we spoke to him, it's pretty interesting that he thought that it completely won him an entire tournament.
Yeah, and now those 1-1s from the Violet Teacher ended up not paying off because of the Mortal Coil. But that's okay, at least the Pilot Shredder is still going to be intimidating on the board. But your opponent's also playing like Dark Bomb in ways to control, and the whole point is that this deck can continue to draw into its biggest threats, take its time, utilize Void Caller for big tempo swings, and then push with like its biggest minions to try to end the game. It's a little bit of a weird, unconventional Warlock deck, but the more I see it, I always tend to like it.
Yeah, but I really think Rogue's actually in quite a good spot. Whenever they have things to do on curve and a sprint as well to refill his hand when it gets empty, Rogue can start looking really, really scary. So I think what Zalae's thinking about here is he's trying to figure out if SilentStorm has Demon Heart in his deck. Because if he has Demon Heart, you absolutely have to kill the Mistress of Pain. Otherwise, you risk your opponent having a 5-8 and gaining 5 life a turn and then not being able to deal with that.
If you know that there's double Mistress of Pain in the deck, it can be a pretty safe assumption that your opponent does have Demon Heart, at least one going on in there. So
he opts to not play around Demon Heart. I think that's probably correct.
Right. I mean, he still hasn't seen it, so it could be one of the things you're playing around that's not. But it is a card that you commonly combine with Mistress of Pain for the very reasons you said.
I think it was Dark Wonix who won his week with a Demon Heart Mistress of Pain deck. Who's also in this ornament.
A lot of combo lock players or demon lock players going on here.
I love it. Love it a lot.
Indeed.
Abusive Sergeant. So the Abusive Sergeant, how does that fit in this deck, Max?
It's kind of like a third power overwhelming that's not quite as good.
Right.
It's used to activate the eggs. If you have Haunted Creepers, it helps trading up. And it also helps buff up a minion to use with Shadow Flame.
Oh, that's a good point. Third power overwhelming, huh? We'll see he needs that. In the meantime, one of the things that this deck can struggle with is consistency. Sometimes it's got like some cards you can just play, but in other times you just have ways to address different situational things, and then as a result, don't really have a strong play on the turn.
Yeah, the trouble with having a deck with all answers is if you don't have the right answer for the right situation, you're going to fall behind very, very quickly because you don't have threats to put out. So we see here he's just playing a 2/3 for 4 mana,
Right.
which is not strong in any sense.
Especially considering that Rogue benefits so much off of Naz or Drake. It's just, you're asking for trouble.
Letting that live for an extra turn, just especially when you're not putting out a threat for yourself.
Like Rogue is such a tempo-based deck, which is why like things like Lotheb are so strong in Rogue, and cards like Sap. Like Sap, you wouldn't see play in say like a Control Warrior, because Control Warrior needs to kill things in order to stay ahead. But when you're trying to just get tempo, like get things on the board, make your opponent spend more mana than you're spending to do the same thing, that's when Rogue really starts getting ahead. So playing a 2/3 for 4 is just one of the worst tempo plays.
Those options here are either just playing the Lotheb, which just looked like it was going to be the play, or his other option would be just to re-dagger Deadly Poison and play the SI and kill off the Defender of Argus. But this is, like you said, the play that gains him more tempo because of how strong that Lotheb is and just stalling out turns.
Yeah, and if your opponent couldn't deal with your Azadrake last turn, having access to all their spells, they're not going to be able to deal with your Azadrake and your Lotheb without any access to spells.
It's true.
So your opponent already told you that his best play for 4 mana was a 2/3. Without any spells, his best play for 7 mana is probably not going to be any better. I mean, we did see him pick up the Lotheb, but answering a Lotheb with your own Lotheb...
It's usually one of the best cases you can ask for, although you do fall behind, like you said, in tempo if he's trying to reduce his amount of damage he's taking.
And we see that Zalae has the Dr. Boom, so he's not affected by the Lotheb at all.
Right.
Nothing really feels better in Hearthstone nowadays than playing a Dr. Boom fresh on turn 7.
You mean like there's nothing on the board, right, to contest it?
Oh, well, just on curve, even if you're behind on board, it's just still, it's so powerful of a card. Even if it gets, that's one of the cards that even if it gets BGH, you're still in an okay spot because the boom spots can still dish out quite a bit of damage.
And we see that Zalae elects not to trade Lothebs, which I think is good because he just wants to get in as much damage as possible.
Yeah, those boom bots can do so much too.
And we can see he's got essentially 12 points of burn damage in hand with the Deadly Poison, Eviscerate, Blade Flurry, and the SI7.
Okay. Fortunately, the Dark Bomb was blocking a lot of the information, but it looks like it only did like 3 or 4 points of damage there.
Yeah, I think it was a 1 damage bomb and a 2 damage bomb, or 2 damage bombs. But it was pretty low result, either average or below average.
So I think this is lethal with Dagger Up, Deadly Poison,
and the Preparation,
Eviscerate, Blade Flurry.
We got
SI7.
it! Indeed! Ha! Caught one!
So it turns out I...
Thank you, Max.
Actually, I think he's 1 mana short.
Or is he? Oh.
So that's 5, 6, 7. No, I was right the first time.
Yeah, you were right. Don't doubt yourself. You got this. So that's going to be game 2, and Zalae will be able to jump out to a 2-0 lead. And SilentStorm is going to be on the rocks here to try to push back the series. He's going to have to rely on his Shaman in order to do it.
Yeah.
Zalae is playing excellently.
Yep.
On point.
SilentStorm's coming off actually a 3-0 victory over Savage, so he was actually riding quite a bit of momentum coming into this match, but Zalae just halted it as soon as he got in. Wasn't ready for that frothing berserker.
Zalae, I mean, he's prepared. We had a couple of guys come in early to explore California a little bit. They practice, of course, a fair amount. But, we are like offering like, hey, you want to go hang out at, this part or this beach or this pier? And Zalae just turned down all the invites because he said, I'm here for a tournament. I'm here to win. I'm here to prepare. So there's been no games. There's been no fun for Zalae in the past couple of hours here, 24, 48 hours for him. He's been all business. And it's good to see that it's been paying off for him so far.
He's here to win some money. I guess everybody's here to win some money, but he's here to give himself a better chance of winning more money.
That's right.
So it's $8,000 for first
It's
place?
$8,000 for first place.
Do you know how many packs you can buy with $8,000?
Is it 8,000?
Is it enough for a golden collection?
Probably
not. Oh,
No.
probably. Okay.
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
How many
I don't
golden cards do you have? How many golden legendaries do you have?
Me?
Max?
I have one golden legendary. It's a Malygos that I opened.
I have 0 golden legendaries.
What?
Aren't you completely free to play, man?
No.
Oh, okay.
Come on,
like,
Hearthstone's
I
paid
thought I asked you one time and you said.
I dropped a bunch of money like when GBG came out, but
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I don't play with golden cards because I want all my cards to be the same. And I don't play with golden basic cards because it gives your opponents free information. Because so you get a golden Yeti, I think, at like level 54 Hunter. And if you play a golden Yeti, that gives your opponent the information this player is a level 54. I think it's Warrior, 54 Warrior. So you give
okay.
your opponent that information
Whoa.
for free.
It's like, wow, this guy has a lot of free time to get Warrior up to level 54.
Next level.
Exactly.
Oh, we know, Dan. We know how much I love Control Warrior.
Oh, man. No Warriors this game, at least. We have Shaman versus Mech Mage. And it looks to be like the normal Shaman that we've come to see. That a few different inclusions, like some mech cards, Pilot Shredder, the Harvest Golem. But overall, seems to be pretty streamlined across. And it did beat Savitz in Game 3 in our previous series.
Yeah, this is a pretty solid opening hand for Zalae as well. He's got Mech Warper and Cogmaster for turn 1 play as well. So he could ramp up pretty quickly. He didn't play the Clockwork Gnome for free on the following turn with that Mech Warper.
So he has Crackle and he has Lightning Bolt. There's one of those things where it used to be cut, right? One for the other.
Yeah. But we see he used the Lightning Bolt on turn 1 on the Cogmaster, so he now doesn't have an answer to deal with this Mech Warper. And you can see he's already essentially 1 mana off it already, and he's going to get another mana off it next turn.
Man.
Maybe SilentStorm's thinking,
Did that,
"Oh,
I
no,
mean,
I've made a huge mistake."
yeah. I mean, the fact is, I mean, of course you want to shut down the early pressure because of how much damage, but the fact that this Yeti can come out on 3 is a really big deal.
We think about it, Cogmaster's threatening, but you would play Cogmaster most of the time when you have a good follow play for turn 2. And the mechs that are going to come out on turn 2 are most of the time really important to be able to deal with very quickly. Either Snow Chugger, which not necessarily as good against Shaman, but still problematic, or Mech Warper, which is just a card that you never want to leave on the board for that long.
But we see that Zalae's essentially running out of things to do here. So if the Lightning Storm were to come down and kill everything, that would be really, really good for SilentStorm. I'm not sure if he's going to go for it. I think it would be a risk playing the Lightning Storm here, but he doesn't want to play it next turn because he's probably going to want to coin out the Fire Elemental on turn 5.
Right. But he can't, that means he can't Lightning Storm this turn either. So Lightning Storm's going to sit in the pack pocket for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also good news because his opponent had 4 mana, and he played a Snow Chugger and then Hero Power. So with 3 mana left, it's like maybe he has more situational cards. It gives him some information to use as well in the following turns.
Yeah.
What to do? What to do?
So Zalae's essentially just thinking about whether he wants to try and clear the piloted Shredder or just go face. I think I quite like just going face, given the Fireball in hand, and given that you have a 0-1 taunt that
What
is
to
going to
do?
eat the piloted Shredder
What to
attack
do?
anyway. I mean, you have to be worried about a Lightning Storm, but it's not even that good unless he rolls a Spell Power Totem first.
Well, there's that old saying, guys. When life gives you lemons, just go face.
Oh man, that is a bad outcome on the get the Novice Engineer off the Pilot Shredder as well. Probably Probably one of the worst outcomes possible, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I think SilentStorm is going to be struggling for quite some time because now the point is the mage is counting backwards from Fireball. It's like, well, I'm only this amount of damage away from lethal. Now I'm, it's like 5 + 6, 7. Only 7 points of damage now off lethal.
And he has the Dr. Boom.
That's
so
right.
This is looking really, really tough for SilentStorm. And although Zalae does know that SilentStorm runs heal bots in all of his decks, so it looks like he's electing to go for a more board control route here, which is probably going to work out for him, given that we can see the heal bot in SilentStorm's hand.
Still painful that you have to just keep get this pressure applied to you. This Azure Drake's gonna try to dig a little bit deeper. Everything's just it's just too slow. This Mech Mage started off so quickly because his Mech Warper is giving him so much mana to use throughout every single turn.
Wow.
And now he just goes face because he can't play heal bot and Lightning Storm and deal with the Dr. Boom all at the same turn. So it's looking like he probably has to hex Lightning Storm.
He also might die.
That's true.
There is a chance he might just die from this.
Well, he didn't die because he got to click the enter button. So,
but how much damage is he going to take? Oh,
all right.
Not the worst
Pretty
outcome.
reasonable, but now Mage is 1 damage off lethal.
Oh,
Well, that's a little bit awkward because that's like the worst.
The worst spare part.
Yeah, the worst spare part that you could have asked for in Antonidas.
Here he is.
He's still going to go for it.
And there he goes.
So now we're going to see the heal bot come down, but I'm not sure. The heal bot puts him up to 13.
Aha!
Well, he's got some work to do. If he has a second heal bot, maybe.
Okay, so now it's either Antonidas Frostbolt.
You're right.
To get which gets another fireball. So
The only other points of healing that a shaman would have would be a second anti-kill bot.
I mean, the only other hope from that is like if you have a pilot shredder and you get like Vitality Totem.
Whoa.
he could be running Vitality Totem. He's probably
You're
not.
absolutely right, Max. He could be.
There is a possibility. That card does exist, and he does have the ability to put it in his deck.
I don't know though, but I'm pretty sure Zalae might just 3-0 here.
Well, this is lethal, and there's no way of staying alive.
Right,
with,
yeah.
He can't kill.
Unless this Drake draws something else otherwise.
Yep. Because just double fireball on the ping. So it looks like Zalae takes this 3-0.
Very impressive performance.
Yeah, from game 1 of that Warrior, all the way here to advancing in his group to the top 4. One of the dark horses, but a player that's also brimming with confidence. Zalae coming all the way from Cleveland, Ohio, and into the top 4. What a great story this guy's had to struggle through the weeks, almost not qualifying, just always getting 1 round deeper but falling short, and then being able to get here. It's pretty impressive so far.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, Zalae said in his winter interview earlier, the only player, he's not really afraid of anybody. He thinks he's going to win the tournament. That's a good amount of confidence. You know, you said earlier he's been working hard to prepare. He's been foregoing the enticing activities of Southern California.
Sure.
Amusement parks, that's what I was referring to.
It's also vindicating probably because, Max is like, yeah, of course. I lost to the guy that got first place in the group.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And after I beat Savit, I'm glad I don't have to play Zalae in my decided
all right.
Oh.
So you'll make your way around the group. Savitz is next, and then, of course, SilentStorm. That'll be happening tomorrow for you. Thank you so much, Max, for joining us. Did you enjoy watching that series?
Yeah, it was a fantastic series. Both players played very well. I really like Zalae's decks going into this tournament, and he's playing absolutely fantastically. He deserves to be the group winner.
Everyone else in the room has been put on notice. And if you guys agree, you can hashtag HLS on social media and let everyone else know about what's going on. Also on social media, we're doing a little competition. The best meme of the weekend gets a couple of free Hearthstone packs for the Classic cassette. So make sure to try and keep your eyes peeled for any fun moments where you can caption or generally make fun of us. It's totally cool. Casters missing lethal is a pretty regular thing, though, so I'm not sure if you'll get a lot of laughs from that one.
And of course, Chalky is in the house, and I'm sure that he's actually not preparing for his matches. And the only thing he's doing is sitting back there on his computer and posting some fresh memes. So
Absolutely.
you guys got your work cut out for you to beat him.
Sounds good. We also want to thank Plantronics for hopping on as a sponsor at the end of season 1 here. They've been doing a great job. Supporting everything that we've been doing. The headsets that you see the players on, that's the ones that Plantronics have been sent us. The rig headsets we gave a couple away throughout the season, and they also gave away some Hearthstone packs. They love Hearthstone, and we love Hearthstone. So thanks so much, Plantronics, for making that possible. In the meantime, we're wrapped up for Group A for today. We have an interview with Zalae, the first member to the round of 4, over with Anastasia.
Thank you very much, Frodan. And yes, indeed, the winner of Group A. But before I continue, let's just say, if you guys are going to submit your memes, make sure they are frothy, just like your Warrior Game 1. Talk to me about that frothing Berserker, please.
Oh my god, what a fun card, right? I think it hit him for about 30 damage over 2 turns. That's not bad for a 3-drop. I felt it was pretty good.
That's pretty much how you won the game. I mean, incredible. When you queued up Druid into Warrior, when you queued up, Warrior into Druid, what went through your head?
God freaking darn it. It's not pleased. Like, the same thing happened in my last match, right? The first matchup is just exactly what I do not want to see.
Well, one thing for sure is I think you were one of our oldest players at 28. Don't worry, men age very well, just like a fine wine. And SilentStorm, actually one of our youngest players at 17. Now think about it this way. When you were his age, you were a state champion in chess. Do you use that to your advantage? Think, you have 10 years of Magic the Gathering experience. You've been to tournaments. You've done it before.
Yeah, experience does work in my favor.
And I mean, also, tell us a little bit about how the casters try to take you out, try to take you to the wild side, kind of make you go out, drink, maybe beat the ladies, and instead you said, no, focus on Hearthstone. What's the story with that?
Yeah, there was an opportunity to go out drinking, and I said, no, this tournament is important to me. I'm going to get a good night's sleep.
Well, it's a great thing you did. Now, you were saying that you were very much looking forward to facing off against Savitz, and he is going to be playing tomorrow, but he's no longer in Group A. You might still see him tomorrow, but maybe not. Who are you now looking forward to playing? You have Group B. There's going to be Pippinho. There's going to be Wayfood. There's going to be Chalky. There's going to be Darkwonix. What are your predictions in that group?
There's a bunch of strong players. The player I'd most like to beat is probably Darkwonix. I've adapted some of his decks to my own taste and had good success with it, so I'd like to beat him.
Well, I wish you all the very best of luck, Darkwonix. If you're listening, I guess you got to win your matches now. Somebody wants to beat you. And thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. This was our winner of Group A, Zalae. For those of you that are just tuning in, don't go anywhere. This was the end of Group A, and we will be continuing with matches from Group B. The Hearthstone Legendary Series will be right back after this short break.